Watch your fingers. Yep. That works. How are we doing today? I'm Nick Ashby from Rockstar Performance Garage, and this is the Comanche build. So I'm gonna walk you through the entire build, what it took to take a stock Comanche to where this thing is today. So with every build at Rockstar Garage, we kind of have a reason to build it or a purpose, right? We don't normally just grab a vehicle and start running with it. This build started out as a old school MJ Comanche that the guys over at Scosche ended up with. Ryder, Cass's son, wanted to build his own show vehicle. And he wanted something that he could take out to like a Great American Crawl with us and wheel on some moderate, intermediate trails, but then also be able to get off the grid and go camping, you know, for 2 or 3 days. So he needed something that was a blend between overlanding, rock crawling, and that could get from point A to point B.
Hey, what's up? My name's Ryder Alves. I'm here with Scosche Industries out here, partnering with Rockstar Garage out here at the top of the world. This is a 1988 Jeep Comanche. Came about, this is my buddy's first car, and I actually traded a rifle to get this car and wasn't really sure what we were gonna do with it. Wanted to do some type of overland build because I go camping and I do other stuff, but Nick here likes to rock crawl and I thought I'd want to join him one day. Well, this thing started out with an 8-foot bed. I can tell a funny story about that bed and why you thought it was non-salvageable. So my buddy, like I said, this is my buddy's car. We were camping up in the desert and he had this little quad and he had just gone down to get a couple gas cans and they were on his quad while he was running. And they fell and stuck the throttle, and so he just went full throttle into the side of the bed and totally mangled it. And that was in front of literally like 50 Jeeps too. It was pretty funny. So anyways, this had an 8-foot bed on it. It was a little destroyed. Nick didn't think, you know, he wanted to recover it and asked me, how much do you love this bed? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm gonna keep it regardless, but we could find a new option. And so that's when we discovered Bowen and Brent Bowen over there in Colorado. Showed up in Colorado and everybody was freaking out. And that's when I was like, all right, this could actually be pretty sick.
So starting out with this thing, let's get from the ground up on it. So this has a 37-inch Baja Boss from Mickey Thompson. It has a 17-inch Icon Recon Pro style wheel. The reason you call it a Pro is because it's an interlock wheel that allows it to work like a bead lock. So it's a DOT bead lock. Those pins on the back end hold the back bead lock into place and keep this thing able to air down to 8 pounds without popping off a bead. Connected to those wheels and tires is gonna be a Dynatrac 44 and a Dynatrac 60 in the rear. Now what's cool about this setup is, you know, we're right at the upper end of that 44's usability, but because it has, you know, a Dynatrac axle setup in the front end, it's able to hold that 37 pretty tough. If we were in a 40 or something like that, we would have needed to go to a 60. But again, we wanted something that was light, could maneuver fast, mostly overland, with some rock crawling capabilities. So a 44-60 combo worked perfect on this. Now you've got 48 gears in this thing, I believe, and suspension-wise, this is all Ironman fab. Now he builds really cool stuff that integrates into the unibody you're gonna find on an XJ or an MJ or something like that. This cross member actually bolts all up into the factory stuff. Now with us, we wheel pretty hard, so knowing that he may be out wheeling with us, we did a lot of 3/16 and 1/8 reinforcing on the frame with this to kind of stiffen everything up in it. So once we got all of that done, we paired them up with some 14-inch coilovers that are 2.5-inch IBPs. These things are amazing, right? They've got adjusters, they have everything we need on it. Right now, you've got 8 inches of down travel with 6 inches of up, which is pretty rad to see in this because normally a rig like this is not gonna have this type of up travel or down travel, especially with a 37-inch tire. You're gonna be very limited for how low it sits. Now, one of the other cool things we did with this is when it comes to the drivetrain on it. Knowing that we were gonna have something that potentially could have a lot of weight, right? With all of this overlanding stuff, we decided to go to a smaller V8. So we went with the Gen 5 5.3 L83 motor. Now the great thing about that motor is it has great power from low end to high end. It's not your 6.2, it's not gonna be a giant heat soak. It has a ton of power that's not needed to start braking things. It's gonna have great dependable power no matter if you're on the road driving. It's gonna have great drivability, because we threw a 10-speed transmission behind this with, I believe, an MP241 that we converted from an electric to a manual. So when you look in this, you're gonna see a great 10-speed electronic shifter, but you're also gonna see a manual transmission, which is pretty sick. So we worked with Advanced Adapters. They built us some cool stuff that we could tie this thing in with. And now you've got selectable transfer case with a 10-speed transmission. The PSI wiring harness, like we always do, worked great in this thing. It had some transmission controls in it as well. There was another company we reached out to, got a couple little missing components. But other than that, you know, when you put this thing in 4 low with a 10-speed transmission, your first gear is so low in this thing, and it just shifts, you know, beautifully through those 10 speeds that it almost feels like it has a lower gear ratio than a normal 488 in there. Because again, with that, you know, low, that, what is it, like a 282 or a 383 in this transfer case, it really drops down in first gear in a 10-speed. So you take all of that and you combine it, you know, with the Mishimoto radiator we have in there with the 3 high-speed fans and the additional, you know, trans coolers and things like that, this thing runs at 180 degrees and it's happy. You know, these engines can withstand 220, 230 degrees for long periods of time. You get in the 240s, 250s, like you're starting to hurt these engines, you don't want to do that. So we try to keep everything cool before it ever gets hot. So on recovery with this, we do have an awesome Warn winch up there. It is one of their newer winches. It's gonna have as much power as you're gonna need to try to get this thing out of anything. We have a sawtooth recovery kit in this thing as well, obviously, which is, you know, great to have in one of these things. And then one of the other cool things about this is, again, that customability with JE Reel, their drive lines in this. The front is actually using a more modern Rubicon style that is an extended yoke that gets that away from all the crossovers and that Ironman fab suspension and everything, and then drops that, you know, drive line out in the front, and then the rear is just a nice slip shaft. So all the power we need, all the connection we need, and this thing is just dialed. Now, armor-wise on this, we ran with a rough stuff front bumper that we found, totally dig that. A set of universal rock sliders on this thing. Didn't really need a rear bumper because of that Bowen bed. Now, what's really cool about this Bowen bed, and I'm gonna hop up here for a second to kind of show you guys this, is this Bowen bed, normally when you get a bed topper from Bowen, you're gonna get it from here down, and this is what you're gonna get right back here. You're not gonna get this forward garage, and this up here is actually a GoFast Camper. What's cool about this is when we built this, we did it for a reason. The Comanche has a longer wheelbase than most of your mid-size trucks do. They're a lot shorter. So we needed an extra foot here. But what we did inside that was we hid a 45-gallon fuel cell. So when you're overlanding and you're doing the stuff you're doing, you're able to get off the grid, you know, as far as you want, as long as you want. Also, that's a mid-mounted fuel cell. So you don't have a ton of weight in the back of this thing or a ton of weight in the front. This thing's a very balanced build, which is really cool. Because when you get into these older builds like this, they typically get so unbalanced, you know, and they're tough. Again, some of the other cool stuff with this is we ran a PRP bench seat in this thing, not your traditional race seats like we normally run on all of our builds. We went old school and we threw a bench seat in this because it's an old Comanche, like it needs a bench seat. We have all of our Dakota Digital gauge clusters like normal. We have our S-pods controlling everything again like normal, so it works a lot like, you know, Gridlock and these other builds. It's all a factory ECU from PSI, and we get in there, we do everything we need to do, and if there's a check engine light or something, it's easy to diagnose. Performance-wise, connected to that engine and everything is a MagnaFlow exhaust system. Now, the cool thing about this MagnaFlow exhaust system is it is their X mod. So we designed kind of a system around their X mod that goes all the way out the rear of the vehicle. What's cool about that is you have 0 drone in this thing. On the front of this, you're gonna see a set of the brand new Squadron 2.0s that just came out. Those things are awesome. They do have all of the new LED backlighting and everything on them that the Squadron 2.0s produce, and they put out, I think, 30% more lighting than the old Squadrons do. And then we have a awesome 50-inch S1 up there. And then we also have our S1s all the way around this. When we flip up that GoFast, you've got tons of great area lighting around this thing. You've got an auxiliary Odyssey in the back. You've got one up front. So you've got a dual battery setup on this thing. So when you're camping, you don't kill your start battery. The whole thing has been Patriot lined. Once we did all of the work to get this thing really where we wanted it, we hit up Patriot Liner and told them we wanted the perfect gray. They gave it to us. And in addition to that, we did some powder coating play with some burnt toast that allows you to see where all the doors and panels and everything are on this, but everything that is gray is actually body. You can't open it, you can't play with that. That's the compartment, which is pretty cool. All the doors are black and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of great overlay there with the Patriot Liner and the powder coat. Again, the coilover mounts and everything that are in this, a lot of it's custom, a little of it's Ironman fab. And then when you get to the rear of this thing, you're gonna see that we knocked out a anti-rock back there. Other than that, you know, components-wise on this thing, it does have a full PSC system. It does have the new DDS system, which is the dynamic driving system from PSC, which is super cool if you're looking at it. It looks like a normal stabilizer you're gonna see from most shock companies, where it has a bypass through the stabilizer. It has that, but it's hydraulically driven. So you have a hydraulic feedback on both sides that's locking it into place, but also assists it when you're turning. So it's kind of like having a steering stabilizer and a steering assist at the same time from PSC. So you have that paired up with their CBR pump. And then when you get into, again, the battery system in this, the wiring system, a lot of that is S-Pod, PSI. We did a lot of the wiring here in-house, obviously. You've got mini RTLs on the back of this thing that are your taillights, which are pretty cool. We have those kind of trickily wired to get in there and, you know, work off of relays to blink and do everything we want them to do, brakes, all that kind of stuff. So all of that stuff, you know, to me is pretty cool. It makes this build who it is and what it is. Also, the universalness of this build and what it can do kind of says the whole Scosche story, right? Scosche is a company that's about lifestyle. They want to support any lifestyle you are into, whether it be surfing, off-roading, horseback riding, working out, adventuring, whatever it is, they make a product for it. So this vehicle needed to kind of capture what the essence of Scosche is, and that's just kind of like, you know, getting out there and living your life and finding the right accessories for it. If you're interested in this build or any of the builds we do here at Rockstar Garage, make sure you comment below, smash that like button and that subscribe button so you can see all the builds that we do here and you're updated with all the videos we're dropping out weekly. Other than that, you know, pretty honored to be able to get a build like this in here, accomplish a build like this, and just work with all these great companies. Definitely appreciate you guys giving this thing a view and hope to see you guys out on the trail soon. We'll catch you guys on the next one.